Hello and welcome to the Divephoria. This is the product of a flawless DBZ.
I just flew in on my spaceship. Hello, guys.
That's pretty dope.
Commander of the Enterprise here today is none other than the OG great himself, Kobe.
I feel welcome here. You gave me the seat of power.
Yeah, you can let us know. You know, if you need more power to the shields, just let us know. At any moment, we can turn it up. You know, we're ready.
Beam up Azael, Scotty. Where is he?
Azael will be joining in future episodes. We'll be rotating through with COVID restrictions. We're currently limited to 3 people, which means that there can only be one person in the starship in any given episode.
And since we are both jet-lagged AF, we decided one of the NAs will take the fall for this one.
And you were the chosen one.
I drew the short straw. I came in jet-lagged. The airline lost all of my bags, so I have no clothes, no toothpaste or toothbrush even. I had to go buy stuff from the mall next to us. So trip's starting out great.
I was going to say, that's pretty fantastic. I was also like egregiously late this morning, which did give you time to have breakfast. Yeah. But spoiler alert, sorry to anyone who lives in Adlershof, but food sucks in this neighborhood. So like you got a croissant that was like as big as your head, which, you know, initially sounds very exciting, but is usually a red flag, I think, for the quality of the
It was more of a frisbee than a croissant, I think. And you could punch it and like hit
We need to make a Soraka banana throwing video.
With
because that's what it looks like.
Well, we certainly don't want to eat the croissant,
yeah.
So we might as well get something out of it.
Yeah.
Perfect new skin idea.
Bakery Soraka, like
Bakery
the Pantheon
Soraka.
skin,
We
where
can
it has
add
like
it to
the Leona one.
The food themed skins.
Yeah.
There's got to be
Oh,
more.
Butcher! I use Butcher Olaf all the time. Chucks the meat up in the air.
I like the meat throwing.
Yeah, now we see the Soraka with croissants. I like that idea.
There it is.
What are you going to say?
Riot Games, just let me know. My boy wants 5% commission. That's all I'm saying. You can split it between the two of them.
the idea.
Patent the idea.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you got to leave me.
I don't think that's how it works, but I'm just calling it out now, just in case. You know, might as well shoot your shot. You know what I mean?
5 minutes in and we're already making skins.
I was like, 5%? That sounds great. That's like we made some world championships.
Yeah, they get 12.5, 25. I don't know what they get, but yeah, we won worlds.
There you go.
Me and Kobe won worlds.
You know what?
In 5
Winning
minutes.
worlds just as good as thinking of croissant Soraka. I want people to know that's what it's about.
And you can have like pretzels in there too.
I mean, it's all good and fun, but I've only slept like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I had 2 espresso shots in the morning to prepare for this. Plus, I'll just drink a coffee while we're doing it to stay alive.
What a trooper.
I respect it, and I'm glad that you're here, and I hope people are going to enjoy the zaniness. For context, what we're going to be talking about today, plans. We're not going to go in deep on the groups portion of plans, but we're going to talk a little bit about the 4 teams that have made it through. We'll talk about the Worlds meta overall, and then we'll do the Worlds thing. There's so much to talk about at Worlds, but we know what you want to hear. You want to know who's making it through.
Who's going to win?
Who's going to win?
Why is it
exactly.
Cloud9?
Yeah. It's already starting.
I'm looking
Put it away. Put it away.
It's not the coffee that keeps them going.
They actually were just pumping Hopian into the plane on the flight over here.
Yeah, that's what.
Please enjoy the flight. Fasten your seatbelt and enjoy the hopium.
I love the idea that plain air is hopium. That like recycled, stale, gross air.
I was actually pretty worried. I was telling Caedrel because when I flew out, I made the whole like, oh yeah, you know, post next to the plane, screenshot of me with the airplane.
Yeah.
And everyone is responding to it. Like, be careful with that. You can't be taking pictures at the airport with, you know, Cloud9 playing a best of 5. They might turn it right around on you as soon as you get here.
You just land at the airport and you're like, wait, why are you guys here?
I just mirror the picture backwards, like, well, okay, we're back out.
Just go back to NA.
I mean, then let's talk about it. Were you sweating at all? Because you're the NA expert, right?
I certainly was, my friend. Okay, it's the classic check mark, right? We're like, okay, 3-0 start. We're killing it. We get to like tell everybody who's making fun of us to shut up. And then we immediately lose to the 0-win team and then follow that up with losing a tiebreaker.
Yep.
Okay, yep. Also going according to plan.
It's Cloud9 fashion, isn't it? Just pulling it out to the last straw. The best of 5 was clean, I would say. I think the first game was a bit close, but from then onwards, it was just like a stomp.
I was sweating in the opener though, because I think it was the first game, either first game or the second game. Sven dies bottom.
Yeah, first
they like
game.
level 1 the Mumu all in, and then immediately after, camera pans up to mid lane, and they gank Perks, Perks dies.
Yeah, it was the Rakan MF 2v2 killing the Lucian Nami level 1.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They lost all sums, and then mid lane died, and I was like, wait, mid and bot are lost in the first 2 minutes?
Yeah.
That was I kept coming in and out because I had to work on something else as I was watching, and I was like catching up on the VODs, and I kept seeing the start of the games where like up till game 3 where Sven dies, and I'm like, wow. Oh, and then I come back 2 minutes later, and they'd be like behind a million gold.
Okay, but he got his revenge in game number 3.
Game 3.
You could tell he was so frustrated. With the first 2 games, dying like that. The second game was actually a really good follow-up for them. It was a good plan. They routed bottom. He ganks bottom after they burned the summer spells. But game number 3, Sven just went Super Saiyan mode.
And I took that personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael Jordan thing. No, but you can tell from like the game times, right? Game 1 was 33 minutes, yeah? Game 2 was 21 minutes, and game 3 was 19 minutes. Like, game 2 and 3 were just stomps. But game 1, there was hopium for OCE fans, and I think that like them already having won their best of 5 and then coming against Cloud9 was like a good thing to see because everyone was rallying behind OCE. And they were just one best of 5 away from making groups for the first time ever.
Yeah, I think that like that series in general, I would say went very much as expected. I think there were promising signs, but overall, like Cloud9 clearly ramping up in game 1, and then clearly just like getting better across the board, right? Game 2, game 3.
One thing, since we're doing like holistically, these teams from play-ins and stuff like that, and moving forward, I have been very happy with and Fudge even mentioned this in his interview afterwards. He specifically talked about how much they improved on their communication, both around winning matchups for topside, but also losing matchups for topside, and coordinating with Blabber early on. So that was definitely something that we were looking for since MSI, that they've been working on for obviously the entirety of summer. But I was happy to see that play out on the international stage, at least in play-ins, Yeah,
I think the best example of that is game 1 when he's playing Syndra Perks, and they roamed top and they dove top a couple of times. Despite bot losing and Perks having died early, they still found windows like level 5 to 8 to just run top and get kills for Fudge, or at least get some pressure in top, which I think was really good.
And we got to see a glimpse of Blabber Olaf, so...
Oh, Blabber Olaf.
How you guys can enjoy that?
Item, man.
Dude, I just like, I read
item.
Olaf's kit and I read Gore Drinker and I'm like, someone snuck this in. You know what I mean? Like these two things are too strong. They synergize so like, he gets more attack speed when he's low and more healing. This item gives him more AD when he's low, and there's healing on it. I was like, wait a second, balanced team? What is this?
But the thing to me is, I actually like that design. Whether or not you want to attack the numbers and the power level, that's fine. That's open for question. But I love the synergy in thematics and design where you really want to play this champion on the edge. The reason Blabber's Olaf always looks so crazy is because he always plays that aggressive style. Like he has Olaf brain, where he will always
Olaf brain.
He will always go me go that. But the reason it's so impressive is because he always, maybe not always, but 90% of the time is always, calculating it and judging it. And so you get moments like that where he's literally 1v2ing people mid lane and everyone's like, oh my God, it's so OP, the Sterix and the Gore Drinker and all that. But he actually gets very close to death and maximizes these things you're talking about, where the attack speed, the extra attack damage, the healing bonus of being low. And you have to have that confidence, and you have to have some Olaf brain to play to that level.
Yeah. Ultimately, like the clips that are going to get highlighted, like he's already giga-fed at that point. So like that to me is not necessarily the moment that you're talking about, but there are certainly moments before that where you need to, as Olaf, know the exact moment where you can commit, because
it's always the first 1v2. Because you get super fed after that.
Yeah. But the first 1v2, when you know that, like that's what's impressive, because it is a game of like, I'm going to drop down to 15, 20% health in the middle of this skirmish, and I have a ton of sustain, but if they have any major cooldowns up, they will just kill me. Like, I will just die instantly. If not, I will live forever and I will murder the shit out of you. But that is, like, you are playing on the edge there.
Yeah, he plays good, and the highlight reels just show that he's pressing one button, but I just looked at... the highlight reels do show it, right? Like, there was some plays... I mean, he played really good that game, but there was one where it's
the decision when you fight, not the mechanics in the fight that are impressive about Olaf.
Listen to this, okay, so Blabber's played 20 champions this entire year. Yeah. What's his highest KDA champion? Olaf, 8.2 KDA in 10 games, and it's like the highest by far, and he has a 70% win rate. How do you have a high KDA on Olaf? That guy's nuts, man. How good is he on Olaf?
It's good.
Yeah. There are like some things, obviously your ideal axe placement where you don't throw it too far, but not too short, and you're able to pick it up and stuff like that. And he does the Q flash juggling into auto, and he would have eat after, except the person already died.
Yeah. Normally you have loads of deaths on Olaf. Remember the old meta where it was like chem tank and stuff? Olaf go this way, And now the Gore Drinker stuff and Conquer.
And usually when there are games where Olaf pops off, it's like, oh, okay, he's got Karma and Soraka and all this
and a Yumi and stuff
on top of it. But he does it in games where they also don't even have to draft around like buffing him up. So
yeah, props to Blabber.
Which I like, in general. And I also think part of that is just like the build pass certainly does make him feel less reliant on maybe some of the older things that you would have had to do with Olaf. And in general, obviously, like Goredrinker's getting nerfed, but this tournament, it's strong, baby. We're going to see more Goredrinker, and I like it.
I saw, actually, did you see there was like a screenshot of some leak, or not even a leak, from the beta realm where they were buffing it.
They were changing it, weren't they? I can't remember what exactly.
So they took off at least the screenshot, the early one, and they don't have to be locked into this, was they were taking away the 150% health regeneration improvement and added 8% Omni Vamp, and buffed up something about
and then they changed the AD, so it's not bonus AD, it's base AD, from 175% bonus AD, I think it was, to 100% base AD, something like this.
Regardless, I know it's actually on the slate for adjustment.
Yeah,
it's being changed for sure. In whatever form. And I'm excited to see what it looks like when it's new. But for now, it's going to be that obnoxious.
Because basically what it is nowadays, playing an assassin, playing a bruiser, playing a frontliner. Well, I got the things for you.
Let me tell you.
And Goredrinker.
Like Ornn was he can do anything, assassin, carry, mage, whatever. Goredrinker is the Ornn of items, where it's like it's the mage, carry, assassin. Like I literally saw Akali's building it in solo queue. I tried it. It doesn't feel that good, but then you get one solid Goredrinker active, and you're like, you know what, my AD ratios are trash, but Goredrinker's just nuts.
Yeah, love that item.
The other side of this, obviously, we had two teams that auto-qualified through, and we'll get to them in a second. But the other side of this was HLE. And HLE, I feel like we sang a lot of praise for Cloud9, and I think they were expected to make it through, but it's good to see them do it with confidence. But like, despite the fact that Hanwha Life Esports has made it through very cleanly, I am still not sold on this team. Maybe that's unfair to them because they did do very well in the context of plans. Maybe I'm looking too far forward, but I'd love to get your thoughts. Admit it, I'm a Morgan hater. I'm going to put it out there. It's not a niche stance to have. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
wow, surprising, original, right? But at this point, I'm like, good job. Still nervous.
Before we talk about Hanwha, rip Doggo. Like, that guy was trying his hardest.
Oh, gosh.
Like, come on. Poor Doggo was absolutely hard stuck. I think that guy was playing really, really good, though.
This is the first time that a player has ever been banned during a tournament.
Is it? Yeah. Actually, the first time?
First time. Like, Doggo just has to overcome so much. You have to feel bad for this. He's definitely a protagonist of his own anime arc, right?
Imagine they won that series and it was like Doggo rises from the ashes and like he's like the best AD in planes and they get the groups. Can you imagine? And they have a top laner mid. I don't know, dude. The first game I was sweating. I was like, maybe they have a chance. And no, they got stopped.
It got progressively worse because it's not like you can sleep on Deft either, right? Like it's not like everyone was there for the Doggo anime arc for sure, and Doggo absolutely great. And there were moments where his teammates got to shine through, but this was just tragic, right? Like this was, you can't even, because he doesn't even get to go into this series with the team that he wants to go through. And obviously, like, it's Midnighter's fault. He totally screwed up, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen to him. He's banned from the tournament. That's all you can say. But really sucks for Doggo and the rest of the team. But obviously, we're mostly sad for Doggo.
Yeah, and then just talking about Hanwha in more recent times, right? Their regular season was pretty poor, but then the regionals and now the play-ins was pretty good. The only real evidence I feel like we have of how strong is Hanwha when we watched it is their game against LNG. It was a best of one. I think Hanwha was ahead that game. I think they could have maybe tried to close that game out because they had pretty good gold leads. I think Chovy had Icon at his top tier 2 for 8 minutes. I checked from 22 minutes to 30 minutes in that game. He had Icon stuck at top tier 2 and they had full prio top. And they tried to start Nash like 2 or 3 times and turn, but they never actually full committed and actually made a play. All they did was get picks here and there. And then the Jacks just kind of scaled a bit and they made a couple mistakes. So I'm not really sure how good Hanwha is because their draft was weird as well, because what they did was they picked Sejuani Irelia topside, played hard for top, and then had Ezreal Karma bot weak side getting perma-ganked. So it didn't really make sense that the Ezreal Karma wants to push, can't push, when they could have just picked like Ziggs early in the rotation, late picked an AP jungler like Sejuani or Karthus or Gragas, whatever you want, Diana Echo. And then you actually have something to play for because the Ziggs can play weak side. The support can just pick a melee champ and roam top, and you can 3-man dive top and actually force things.
Especially if you know every opponent you're going to face as Hanwha is going to have a spotlight on Chovy. Everyone's going to look to shut down mid. And they blind their entire top side of the map first, all melee. It's actually becoming more and more important to draft for me. If you're planning on playing melee mid, you have to be cognizant of the bottom lane matchup because early support roams will just screw over melee mids so hard, and you cannot play safe. And then LNG, their coach was so open about it too. Afterwards, he was just like, yeah, we came into it. Our game plan was to shut down Chovy. So I really like their, Gragas pick because you can easily just body slam and disengage. And they just kind of laid it out for everybody. So everybody's going to have that same sort of style and game plan looking at Hanwha, especially if you look at the group they're in with like Bwipo and Xiaohu as top laners. As much as you're talking about Morgan, it does seem like it will be rough for them moving forward, because what kind of surprises?
Adam is the top laner right now. You have to go Bwipo.
Well, Bwipo's gonna gank him.
I know. I agree. I think your sentiment around the top side is right.
For a second,
I was like,
nothing went wrong.
I was like, I don't want to interrupt you because you're on such a tear, but like the EU fans are already like, kill him now, get him out of the spaceship, bring Isaac in. We don't have time.
Excuse me, jet lag. Boom.
Boom. Yeah, you're forgiven.
Checkmate.
The last thing I just want to say about Hanwha is you're completely right. They early rotate their top side, and then what LNG did was they banned Ziggs on 4-5, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. Now you have no mage bot that can just wave clear mid and have some AP damage. So I think that if they did like Irelia, Tryndamere, Ziggs, and then fourth picked an AP jungle, they'd be fine. I think the best example of why Ziggs was such a good pick for them is if you watch RNG's games versus WE. RNG was struggling against LNG in the playoffs, in the LPL, and they got stomped. And then when you go to, they didn't get stomped. They were winning those games, but they lost 3-1. Then you go to the regionals, and against WE, what do? They play 3 games of Ziggs with kind of AD champions around the map, so like Lucians and things like this. So I think they found a good band-aid for playing Ziggs bot on AD comps, and I think Hanwha could have done the same thing.
I think Ziggs is going to be really big this tournament, like just generally, because there's not everyone adopts it. Like when you look at specifically Def's history, it's very clear that his team overall still prefers Varus as the like leave it on an island, it's going to win you lane kind of carry. But I think in general, Ziggs, not just because he's AP, but it's like the current king of just leave him alone, let your
wave clear.
That's something I want to touch on, actually.
Yeah.
Because coming into this, I don't know about going back and doing your VOD review for LPL teams. One of the biggest things that stood out to me in their Ziggs games, their Ziggs bottom lane players are so much better than ours. I was just like, I was like, oh, he could do that? Because we're like, oh yeah, it's so great. You get wave clear, you can leave them on your own. They're running kill lanes.
The Ziggs
more
set?
Than 50%,
oh my God.
More than 50% of their Ziggs lanes are setting up like all these burst combinations and kill lanes. And they've got like Rel or Leona or whatever. Yeah. And they don't even lead it sometimes with the CC to set up satchel charge. Yeah. Sometimes their Ziggs are just throwing out the satchel charge to set up their support. And I'm just like, oh my!
He could do it.
Like, I'm sorry, but like the only skill-intensive ability in Ziggs' kit is satchel charge. Like if you're playing Ziggs, like if you can hit the raw satchel charge, you're good at that champion.
There's 2 ways to do it. You can knock them into you, like some kind of baby insect, or you can do like the fly in the air while throwing a Q. So
I will give you
Ziggs
the fade away, like sideways Ziggs Q. Yeah, that's savage. That's absolutely.
But that coming in, that was one thing from VOD reviews I really wanted to touch on for the LPL team specifically, because it gives you so many more options within the game. When they do place this priority on Ziggs, you can leave them and then you can have your roaming support, and it's going to be very popular this tournament for sure to have mid jungle support, be heavy roaming early and have huge influence. But they can also go for kill lanes on that bottom lane and then destroy your tower very quickly. So
I mean, Ziggs is just reliability, right? You can play hard top side, secure an easy herald with a strong top side, and then go bot and herald bot, have first tower, unlock Ziggs, put him mid, right? Or you can play strong side bot because, like you said, you have kill pressure, right? Most Ziggs lanes have engaged supports, so you can always go down there. Worst case, you can just play weak side and Leona can roam, for example, but Leona, Rel, Nautilus, all kind of does the same thing.
He sort of feels to me a little bit like when Senna was really meta in the fasting Senna meta, and she just freed up so many crazy things that you can do compositionally. It feels kind of like that because he offers so much. You can do a kill lane. You can leave him alone isolated. He takes towers really quickly. He acts as an AP source that frees you up to do a lot of wacky shit on the top side of the map. You know what I mean?
Make an infomercial for me and sell it, baby.
Bam.
Get like a banner. And on top of that, not only is it the early game, but in the mid game, you can just put him in mid and he'll always have push, right? If Ziggs is like losing lane or whatever, worst case, he can
Ladies
ult
and
waves.
gentlemen, he does it all.
Yeah, he's a tempo genius. You can clear mid wave and ult bot wave and then play top side. Yeah. It's like, guys, you can try to cross map, but you're 1 wave behind no matter what.
The sign to me that like this champion's going to be not a problem, but like big, is I was like, I have watched games where Ziggs like ults maybe once in a team fight the entire game, and I still feel great about his ult usage. Like he's just wave clearing random lanes, and I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. Like if a GP is only ulting for wave clear, I'm like, this is a trash GP game. If a Ziggs is only ulting for wave clear, I'm like, wow, what is Ziggs? So fantastic.
He also is a very good user of Grievous Wounds. You can just pick up an orb so easily, so cheaply, and he does so much AoE damage.
True.
I always think of that as being such a big bonus in the meta right now because there is... Frontlines are not champions. Frontlines are items, and they're like Gore Drinker, Conqueror healing. So most frontlines right now rely on some sort of healing. So it's always nice to have some easy way to apply that. So
I love it how
act now, supplies won't last.
I love it how we've like hyped up Ziggs so much, and it was banned 3 times, 8% presence in play-ins, but. A lot of the main region teams, I think it's a good band-aid if you have these AD comps to just lock it in, right? I just think that wasn't used a lot in play-ins, but I think it's something to expect.
I also think that a lot of the place where we saw a lot of Ziggs obviously was the LPL. And I think I expect to see Ziggs more. But I also think Ziggs is a certain time investment. I know a lot of AD players do not enjoy playing Ziggs. So I'd be curious to see... Maybe we're like completely off and this champion's like absolutely useless in scrims.
Yeah, I think that the way it's probably going to work for Ziggs is like MF Lucian will be highest prio ADs alongside Aphelios. And then if you want to early rotate topside like Lee Sin Irelia, which is kind of common, then Ziggs is just a good band-aid to play for a bot lane. And that's kind of how the dynamic of the champion works. It's like, oh, we have too much AD. Okay, we'll early rotate the Ziggs. Oh, that's our draft plan. We'll early rotate the Ziggs. But MF's up, so we'll probably just go for MF for now and then just play an AP mid anyway. But if that's not up, then Ziggs is a good fallback, I think.
Yeah, especially because I feel like a lot of junglers are going to want to play AD jungles. With Talon, Kiana, Zed all coming through, in addition to Lee Sin, Jarvan, which are still going to be very, very useful, very high priorities. Now you have the options of going for the other, assassin, flex picks.
Yeah, and the last thing I would say on the Ziggs is like, why is Ziggs bad sometimes? I mean, when you traditionally saw Ziggs, you saw AD mids, right? You saw Lucian mid, Tristana mid. The reason is because when you get to the late stage of the game, you lack that AD carry that can just burst Nash or have DPS backline. You literally just have a mage with 2 bruisers, right? So you don't really have any scaling. So it's always safer to play like Lucian, MF, Aphelios, because even if the game goes late, like 40 minutes in, 30 minutes in, 3rd or 4th dragon, you have the DPS in the backline. Whereas Ziggs is more like that mage who needs to get ahead. Otherwise, your team just lacks DPS, I think.
I also think that like we haven't seen Ziggs a lot in the context of, or outside of solo queue at all, in the context of like all of these assassin junglers coming in. Because while these players are very good, like definitely in a world where you have a ton of people, hyper mobile champions who are going to be able to dive backline, I would imagine it's a little bit harder to just put him in mid and go, hey, we're going to be fine, and just leave him there while your side laners get to do what they want.
And there is a lot of there are a lot of DPS options in solo lane picks right now too. So I feel like it's not too restrictive, and you can be super flexible.
I think the meta is pretty cool right now. We talked about Ziggs, but the meta in general is just, I like it a lot. Things like Irelia, Tryndamere,
I got a little
mid,
scared when I
Gragas mid.
saw so many enchanter buffs, coming in.
I was horrified. I was horrified because we were talking, and it was showing up in solo queue at the time, and I was like, no, this can't happen.
Everyone was playing like Lulu, Yumi, Nami.
Because like if enchanters
Soraka can remove grievous wounds now.
If enchanters are good, I was like, it's like we're like 2 weeks in the meta away before tanks are somehow back in the top lane, and then it's going to be hyper carries, and we're going to be back to the nightmare of 2018.
Since we kind of spread our like play-in talk into mostly meta talk, there is something for meta I wanted to discuss, because I want to talk about some game theory for right now, because it is such a cool meta, and supports are at the heart of it for me. So I was glad that didn't completely change to enchanters. It's fine that those are an option, but support being so busted right now has come to the top of so many discussions. And part of the reason why is because if you compare support to jungle, which is kind of comparable in the strengths, about roaming and stuff like that. One of the things about jungle, and why I always liked jungle so much and have always mained it, is for the like information gathering, and basically you get to be like Sherlock Holmes,
it's like
tracking
a game of chess,
people.
Kinda,
exactly,
right?
And you can make decisions, and you can punish people off of so much value being found out of tracking people. So like, okay, so they started red side, so blue side's up. Oh, they don't have to show bottom. If they do, there's a lot top side that you can get. So there's a lot of if this then that sort of thing. Yeah. But it's support, so you can punish them, even though they have so much freedom, and there's so many different ways you can go about it. Support though, how do you punish the support? You're gonna take the support camp? He doesn't have any camps to take. Okay, like as long as they push out bottom first, or they're communicating with their AD carry, you get bottom prio. Run wild. You can gank top. You can gank mid.
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, now I get to take the proper countermeasures.
Yeah, to like do something to answer it in a way, right? I think that support, the way I see it is it has windows where a lot of times you'll see both supports kind of match each other in mid, where they both arrive at mid at the same time, and that'd be because this then that applies when it's like, oh, they pushed me in, and my AD carry is catching the wave. That means there's enemy support's basing. So I could sit here and get the XP for this wave, or I could just base at the same time and match him mid, right? So giving up and trading, I think it all comes down to windows, right? If you have a push out, or if your AD carry catches a wave and he has a bounce, right? Support needs to be back in the lane for that timing. So he has like 30 seconds to a minute, unless he overcommits. If he stays top for a long time, and his AD is getting dove, his AD has to back off, but we have to get something top now. Well, I have to get Herald or something, yeah?
It's funny because you say that. We started doing it really early in LCS. All of the sports just started turbo roaming. Core JJ famously, one of our games, literally first 15 minutes, he had almost 0% dual proximity. He was roaming so hard, and getting kills everywhere on top side.
Keep in mind, a single percentage is 7 seconds. Yeah. So getting low is like actually insane.
It was 0.4 percentage, and that 0.4%, it came from only when they went down to do a dragon. He didn't even go to lane bottom side. He just got in range of him from doing dragon.
I remember Alfari tweeted something like, can't wait to play against someone like my duo lane of me and Core JJ top side. Yeah. It was funny. Yeah, dude, roaming
I just think that like on the subject of like why it's so free is because like even the situations you describe where like an enemy support can punish, it's so much harder to punish. It's like matching feels like at most the best value proposition because more often than not punishing maybe in pro like maybe you can force a dive, maybe not depending on how long they stay. But like the most that you get is like some extra experience, which for level 6 for some supports is super huge. But the amount of supports we've seen just live at level 4 for like 70% of the early game, pretty damn high.
So I think one of the things that frustrates a lot of people who are not supports are that they're used to checks and balances. Everybody always complains about jungle and roaming and getting ganked. Nobody likes getting ganked. But there are checks and balances for it where you also, looking back at it, you can be like, okay, well, we did have this information on these camp spawns. So you can theorize where they're going to be, or even track people 30 seconds to a minute sometimes, depending on how much information you have. But when a support recalls, how do you figure out if they're going mid or if they're going top?
Yeah,
right?
That's the thing. You need to wait for support to show. So I think there's two things that I would say to that. There's like, you have to be afraid enemy support is missing, so don't contest that mid wave, right? So both supports base from bot lane, now they're in base. If they both match mid, they match mid. But if one matches mid and one's bot, you can't really dive bot because he has the short path. But if he's diving top, the enemy support, this AD carry is not getting that wave no matter what,
exactly.
Right? So that's how it works. If they're opposite sides of the map, you have to dive. If they're in mid, it's a match. And if you're close enough to each side from mid, you can always stop them from being able to do it, right? So that's the way I kind of see support.
Yeah, exactly. The next level of checks and balances, you're like, okay, well, then you should be able to balance it by something on bottom side. But there are so many AD carries right now that can, like, MF can just ult a wave. And
Ziggs,
I just bought my support
Ziggs,
another 30 seconds.
Ezreal.
Ziggs can just blow it up.
Defensively and aggressively, right? You can ult the way for tempo to base and go to Herald, or you can ult the way defensively while your support's top, right? So it's really good usage.
Exactly. So like a lot of these, if the AD carries have decent wave clear, and like I said, you're communicating well, like at the pro level, they're so good at doing, it's hard to really fully punish bottom side. When this meta started to first emerge, I was really hoping for like, oh my God, are we going to get some bottom lanes that are going to turbo push on bot side, like Caitlyn Morgana or Zyra support in here something, and they push up, they get turret plates, they really make you pay for roaming. But we haven't seen that be an actual capable strategy because it's so difficult to get that much out of the bottom side while the other one is making plays on top side.
Yeah, also just given like the top side pool of champions, the amount of people that can dive on a Caitlyn. Like if you tell me I get my Caitlyn to one item sooner, like great. But if you tell me the cost of that is like their support, like, yeah, we got to dive or we got a couple tower plates. But if you tell me the cost of that is like their Amumu got to kill an enemy Aurelia, I'm like, no, sir, absolutely not worth.
This is the weird thing because like sometimes league metas are win lane, win game. and you just pick like Kate, Morgana, Draven, Lulu, whatever, Draven, Nami, Lucian, Nami, and you just stomp the lane.
Oh my god, I hope we see more Draven, by the way.
Yeah,
Draven's,
a lot of ADs are
that
playing
all
Draven.
looks really nice. It feels like an inevitability that he gets
I've been
first
tracking
kill.
pros, mate. Everyone is playing Draven. Everyone. So that might happen. I'm looking forward to that.
Dude, some Hans Draven.
Draven.
I'm here for it.
Hans, Gala, Gumayushi, dude, anyone, everyone. Viper, they all play Draven.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say about supports. This is the last, I swear.
That's fine. I like this discussion.
Yeah, I mean, game 3 is always really interesting, but we'll get back to the actual teams at Worlds. The other thing about the checks and balances and how you punish roles that have this much power is also usually by they lose some sort of gold or experience, but support kits are balanced around not getting gold. It's like they are the spoiled child of the family. Yeah. There's just like, you just get allowance anyways. Your kit just gets you stats. You're supposed to not CS and stuff. Yeah. Meanwhile, everybody else is out there working in the mines, trying to make some diamonds.
Yeah. That's for sure. Like, the dread. I go through phases where like every once in a while I'm convinced that I want to play AD in solo queue because I like duo lane. Like I like the concept of a duo lane, but every time we lose lane and I have to sit in the side lane and farm for 10 minutes, I'm like, this role sucks. You don't do anything. You have to be here to farm. Whereas like jungle and support just get to do jungle. There's a certain amount of time farming, but you can go anywhere you want on the map. And like support, you literally opt out of like 30% of the League of Legends experience and play only. I love support. You only get to play the fun parts. You just fight people and move around the map.
This is what I was going to say about the win lane, win game thing. Like Caitlyn Morgana push lane and win lane and get tower is great, but a couple of things have made that hard recently. Like plates are good for gold, but what you want to do with Kate Morgana, for example, is take the tower and unlock them on the map, and get them mid, rotate, take top tower, Xaxaxa, 2v2, lane kingdom. This was the old Forgiven meta, right?
Yeah.
But these days it's harder because if you do pick Caitlyn Morgana, it's going to take a while before you can get my tower first of all. AD carries have a little bit more wave clear, which is great, But the thing is, once that lane dies once and you die to a gank and the enemy Leona all of a sudden pushes in the Caitlyn Morgana, that Leona is going to take over the map. And alternatively, if you don't do that, Leona and the jungler can just pair up support and jungle and dive top and play for Herald, take Herald, and they'll always kind of be one step ahead until you really get that tower. And also Caitlyn Morgana, you need to tunnel vision on, right? If I have Kate Morgana on my team, I have to be bot all game as a jungler. I have to give them full vision and find enemy jungle all the time. Because if they die and they get pushed in by a melee support, it's doomed. And if they don't die and they actually start to get the push, they might dive top. So now my top laner I can't cover. So it's a big trade-off of like having winning lanes is great, but once they fall behind or they actually get ganked or make one small mistake, it's so hard to recover. It just
doesn't feel like when you lay it out like that, it just doesn't feel like a good value proposition.
The final thing is, where's your engage, right? It's a dragon. You want to get 5v5 going in mid, you want to contest mid wave. If I'm contesting mid wave 5v5 against you and you have a Caitlyn Morgana and I have a Leona MF, you have to back off.
I'm sorry, sir. Range, you flash R and then Q. Have you not seen Hillisang playing Morgana
flashing in and getting one shot, right? Like sometimes it can be good if you have like a really hard winning jungle and you're very confident in your bot lane, right? Sometimes, but alternatively, it's like, well, at 25 minutes in Ashe fights, engage support just helps.
That's why I like you talking about it locks you into a strategy that's very clear for both teams to play around. Because if you're playing that, then you have to get to the objective first. Because if you get to the objective first, then you get to set up your vision and your traps, and you can try and funnel them, and maybe you have engage from top or jungle or something like that. But it forces both teams to know that there's a very clear
exactly.
path.
Your only win condition is bots, right? Sometimes if you die in bot 2v2 or you die to a 3v3, support can just sack bot, you roam top and play top side, right? But the Caitlyn Morgana, you can't really sack them. You have to find a way to get them back in it. But I think range supports we talked about. I think things like Lulu, Yuumi, we might see them. We'll have to see.
Yeah. I do think, here's my theory about the future. I think it's because it's early in this, newfound freedom of supports, to go wherever they want. Yeah. There are no expectations on them from other members of the team. When you get a gank from your support, you're like, oh, thank you so much, sir. I'm so appreciative that you gave me some of your time. Meanwhile, junglers have been junglers for always. So people are just always are like, why are you not here now? Like they expect so much of you. Yeah. And supports, it feels like there's just low expectations and it's a bonus when they do. But people are going to raise their expectations over time now of it. And so eyes are going to get much more critical on support moves. Like support difference is so big and it's going to be more noticeable.
Yeah. As a low elo Bard enthusiast, people are very happy when you roam into their lane steal a CS. They don't notice that though usually, and you just like one meep auto. They're like, oh my god, what is this? How are you? Like, I just won my lane. Thank you so much. You're like, no problem. Back to my lane. Like,
take your portal out of there.
Yeah, take my portal out of there.
Okay, back to the teams. Let's see.
All right, so let's get into the group's discussion proper then, and we're gonna get a chance, of course, to hit on all the 4 teams that made it through. DFM made it through too. That's obviously monumental. It's a huge thing for the LGL. It's been a long time coming, and it's super fantastic to see. But I think we just, if you guys have no qualms with it, I think we can just do A, B, C, D.
Let's do the alphabet. Group A, Damwon, FPX, Rogue, C9.
So
Damwon,
like I think the first thing we need to talk about, Kobe, I think that Caedrel and I have had this discussion, and I imagine that most of the people at home, the Euphoria viewers have had, and I imagine the Dive viewers may have had a similar discussion, but this is not the group that I think our region wins. Are you feeling different?
We'll let them have that group. Yeah,
you know, like
we didn't want it anyway.
Yeah, we didn't want that group anyway. LPL, LCK.
You were telling me how much faith you had in Rogue.
Yeah,
actually,
true. I've said it a few times.
Wait, what?
I've had this thought, right, where Rogue might have a chance.
Okay, no.
No.
Hold on. Hold on a second, Kobe. 1 second. What? Okay. There's the Hopium, there's the Copium, and there's the Leak Scrims. And I know you're a big fan of the first two, but like, what are you on?
Super Copium.
That is also fine.
I think in best of ones, best Rogue was the best of one team Europe's ever had.
Okay, I like that.
In
That's
regular
a good
season.
Argument. That's a good argument. Sure.
Best of 5s in playoffs, they always, I don't know if it's a mental thing, but they make a mistake. Secondly, if any team could get out of that group from Europe, I would say it's Rogue. Why? Because obviously best of ones. I have a feeling they can do it. I don't know why.
So last year they also had a really hard group.
And also the last thing I would say is like, if you put expectations on Rogue, I feel like that team struggles, right? If they are the fan favorites going into a series, that team struggles. I don't know why, if it's a mental thing, but the thing I would say is they have no pressure. If Rogue wins, if Rogue beats C9 2-0 in that group, great. You know, EU, NA, 3rd seed, cool. If Rogue beats one of Damwon or FPX in that group just once, that they've already exceeded any expectations humanly possible, right? They have no pressure.
I'm very
at
familiar
all.
with this argument as an NA rep.
They have no pressure.
I made that argument so many times. Like, yeah, hey, you tell them. Get them,
You tell them. When you expect nothing of them, that's when they do good.
Exactly. When you least expect anything, maybe Rogue. If they bomb out of this group, no one's really gonna care. If they actually get out of this group, it's like, sorry, what's happening?
The only problem is that they also had a similarly difficult group last year.
Yeah.
So you could use the same arguments for last year, and they were like, "Oh man, FlyQuest are just so strong. We can't do a FlyQuest." No, but for Rogue for positives, I always feel like when I'm watching this team, I get so enamored with their players. Their players are insanely good. You go down the roster, and I'm just like, yes, all the way through. Inspired to me is actually the best jungler that you guys have. I mean, Elyoya is very close, but. Yeah. That guy should do really well, especially with like Kiana and Zed and Talon coming through. And I feel like, and especially with the bottom lane, Hansama, I feel like Draven's gonna come in. This should be like every individual player should be really good. But then I'm doing my VOD review, and I always turn on the casters like for the beginning of this.
Before you mute us,
for the beginning to get some background.
Hear the story.
How did the season go? And the first thing I hear is everyone's just memeing on Rogue time.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Oh, look at your watch! It's Rogue time now." And I was like, "What is that a bad thing or a good thing?" Oh, it's a bad thing.
Then you actually see it, and you're like, "Wait, how does this keep happening? How does this keep happening?"
10,000 gold lead? That looks good.
That looks good.
This is the problem, is that like we set up playoffs, like the demon that Rogue needed to overcome was Rogue time. And then they rock into their first series versus Misfits, and here it is like 2v1, or getting a kill in every single 2v1 game. Inspired goes top every single game. Game 1, bam, they get a kill. Game 2, he barely makes it out. Game 3, he gets a kill. Game 4, he gets a kill. Game 5, he gets ganked top lane every single game. And Odo or Inspired die in those ganks every single time. And it's like, we thought Rogue time was the big problem. And Rogue time very well may be the issue again in best of one. But like the reason that I am, I guess, so hard on Rogue.
Are they okay with that branding, by the way?
Probably not.
They should embrace it a bit like G2, just like make watches with like a Rogue icon and sell them.
Rogue
Guys,
time.
You know what time it is? It's Rogue time.
Have one of those big watches on a chain, like have a clock here.
Oh, man,
like, just walk up to the LEC with that around
some
their neck.
gold teeth, a giant Rogue time clock. Okay.
I mean, And I think you have to give Rogue the benefit of the doubt that whatever they struggled with in playoffs, they've had enough time to recover from coming in. But like, I'm in the camp of I'll believe it when I'll see it, because I think Ottawamne really struggled. I think bot lane, it felt like they lost faith in Trimby, because he definitely ran it in one of those series and definitely in a few of those games. But then they just like randomly were like, it's time for Lulu, which is just like, based on everything we've seen, not a good fit for how they want to play the game. So playoffs was like, I don't want to say a total collapse, but a huge.
It was a total collapse.
It was okay. Thank you. It was a total
collapse, especially when they lost against Fnatic. Like, just got stomped, and that was it. They went home. Job done. But I think anyone's going to say down 1 FPX getting out of the group. But I think that if I ever had a super copium, ultra copage take of like hot take of anything, I think the only thing I would say is for group stage, maybe Rogue gets out of Group A. That's the only hot take I've had.
Your super copium hot take is a maybe.
Yeah.
If I had to take the strongest drug known to man,
we're gonna make this spicy.
I could get to maybe.
We're gonna make this spicy then. I'm gonna say we're doing predictions, right? Who's gonna go to group?
I mean, sure. Yeah, let's do it. Let me write it down. So
I'm gonna say.
I can see it in his eyes.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say
can't do it.
You can't even do it. Even on like, how long have you been on it? Like a week, a month, the super hopium, you know.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah.
it's different to take the hopium. But when you have to look into the eyes of the team and then still believe in them, it's much harder.
You just look at this image and you're like, yeah.
I mean, it's still really fun to watch these groups.
Yeah.
Because you know everybody is just waiting, because everyone is going to put, I predict Damwon and FPX to get out, but they're just waiting on the edge of their seat. As soon as any NA or EU, gets a win over them, everyone's going to come out. I knew it. I never doubted them. So this is one of those groups that I love, because it's primed for pop off. But if we both lose, then we'll just be like,
it's one of those things you just push under the rug. It's like they lost.
Screwed.
They were going to lose anyway. They won. Pull it out. There's hope.
Exactly. And while, so our group predictions are going to be boring for this one, because we're all going to do.
I guess the only thing is who's finishes first.
I do want to talk about.
Okay. But I also liked, you were talking earlier about, specific matchups.
Yeah.
And mid lane. This is a sick mid lane group.
And jungle. Mid jungle for this group is nuts.
Yes.
You have like Showmaker Canyon versus Doin BTN versus Larson Inspired versus Perks and Blabber. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty.
It's really good.
Mid jungle is pretty good.
Mid jungle is nuts.
And also you have like Nuggery versus his old team.
Yeah.
Storyline, Perks versus Showmaker Doinby. Storyline. Dude, get me in there.
You're so good. You've become such a good caster. You have an eye for it now. You can smell it from a mile away. You're like, narrative.
Those are always the most easy ones to do too. Like, wait, this guy was on that team and they're playing each other?
Oh, they must have beef. They must have beef.
Yeah. No, I think that like,
but not only is it Nuggery versus his old team, it's also Khan versus his old team.
Khan
was on FPX in 2020.
I actually love that, because nobody tells the other side of the story.
Yeah.
Because both teams were pretty much better when they have Nuggery on them. It's like the Khan side of the story is like,
I feel so bad for Khan. It's like join T1, don't win Worlds. Get to semifinals at MSI and Worlds. Join FPX after they won Worlds, don't win Worlds. Join Damwon after they won Worlds. I know what comes next.
It's like the first thing you say when you hire Khan to a team is like, I want you to know that I don't think you were the problem.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I feel like Khan should feel good about his recent play. Like,
sure, absolutely.
Damwon were playing through top. He's been playing well recently, so it's really fun to meme on, and you can be like, haha, you were the shitter one on both teams or whatever. But he's actually been playing well, so I think. Him, at least if I was, I'd be looking forward to this matchup so much. Just even the beginning, first 5 minutes of it for his lane versus.
The funniest thing is, like, the only thing that's changed in these rosters is top lane ever since both these teams play on it, right? Khan had that roster.
A trade.
Nuggery had that roster, and it's like, well, it's just top diff then, isn't it? Whoever wins, because like they won last time. If you win now,
I think Kobe's trying to get away from that, because we're already like, we put Khan into this box.
No, it's top diff. It's top diff.
I'm just trying to give him a little.
Because I think you're right. Like, it's obviously like those are the BuzzFeed headlines that are so easy to follow. That's like the most easily repeatable thing about Khan's career. And like a lot of us, sometimes me for sure, will stop and go, I like that. That's funny. I'm not going to do it. That's great. That's good. But like,
but
obviously,
he has been playing well, and they've been playing well around him. So,
who finishes first? Who finishes second? I'll go first.
Sure.
I think Damwon finished first in the group. FPX second.
The finals were not good. It's good for FPX. I'm going to go FPX. I believe in FPX.
Okay.
Like many, the main thing I always look at when looking to attack Damwon is bottom lane. Yep. And even like Damwon themselves. When they subbed out Ghost and they role swapped just to be able to sub out Ghost, I was like, that is an insult I don't know if I could take. If my team told me, take a break, all right? You've been a little bit stressed, we can tell. I'm gonna go ahead and play bot for a while. And I was just like, oh my God, they're really gonna do him like that? And they did, and it was honestly fine. Right?
The worst part.
So everyone, what was their winner? Like 7-2 or something?
Yeah, it was fine. So everyone's always looking at the bottom line as the area's attack, and so that would be my one thing of trying to combat that, I guess, and put them second instead of first.
Yeah,
would be ways around that. I was already going to put them first and FPS second, but if you're already doing it, it's not so cool anymore.
My only counter argument would be: do you think FPX's bot lane is one to punish that? Because actually the finals, I think LWX kind of carried their only win in finals.
This is another. It's actually kind of funny because both of these bottom lanes are bottom lanes for some of the best teams in the entire world that get made fun of the most. I think
part of exclusive club.
LWX gets made fun of all the time, and I see why. Because there are a lot of games where he's just like pushing out mid, and he's boom, he gets jumped on by 4 people, and you're like, hey man, you're doing it again, and he's just dying. But if you isolate a lot of like early stages, lane phases, a lot of fights too, he's very good, and people make fun of him so much that I feel at least sorry for him, because some of the blunders are the most eyesore type of blunders, I guess.
Yeah, it's where it's like, oh, that's such a basic mistake, dude.
Yeah. And so everyone's just like memeing the garbage out of it. But anyways, I do think they're better than most people give them credit for, just because of that factor. But I do think it's a good point as far as bringing up, is this actually going to be, a group where they do get heavily punished? Honestly, I probably see Hans punishing him the most.
Yeah, so
especially if they play for winning.
So Vedius and I are having a discussion of like a pretty base take, and it sounds base, but if you think about it, it might not be. Like, Hans is the best AD in that group.
Yeah, I mean, with how well Sven memes of the first 2 games of their last best of 5 series too.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my God, like that was rough. And then you look across at LWX and Ghost as well, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
stamp of approval.
Yeah. I can't tell who the best.
I won't be surprised if Hans turns out, but I would not.
I think
call
it's between
it out the
LWX
gate.
and Hans, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard to say, but yeah.
I think LWX, like I say, is a lot better than people give him credit for. So that because
I think Hans is for sure exceptional, and I think the other thing is that like Rogue have always drafted super strong, super proactive lanes, and like still like even in strong lanes, getting solo kills, getting duo kills is still impressive to me. But like I do want to see how Hans stacks up a little bit more in this context against international competition, and especially players from a region where they kill people in the bot lane.
Yeah, because just going back to your point about LWX, to me that finals wasn't really bot diff as much as Viper had that insane play on Aphelios and like killed everyone, and they made insane comeback in that game 4, I think it was. Like
they should have won that. That was so troll.
Yeah, they should have won that game. To me, mid jungle
God.
was like one of the biggest losing points. Apart from game 4, of course. Like Scout and JJ, I think were just. I don't know if it was just TN.
No, Scout
popped off
very well that
but
series.
I also think Tian was like just making so many basic mistakes. They were losing mid jungle 2v2 early in most of the games for no reason.
Game 1, Doinby felt out of it just like almost immediately. Like they just felt like
from that mid gank on Olaf level 4, the second they both died, it's like, well, it's just over. Like what is happening? So anyway,
we have 3 other groups to discuss. So I don't want to go too much more in depth here. We'll see. Kobe, what your final? Are you putting Dan 1 Kia 1 or FPX 1?
I'm gonna put FPX 1. I'm FPX.
That's right. 1. You just got outvoted, bro.
Oh no.
No, that's not really. That's probably makes you cooler, actually.
That means I'm the based one here.
It does.
You're the base one. C9 is the last thing that I want to talk about because we hit on them a little bit in play-ins, and we got to like, I don't know, emotional event about Rogue, concerns, fears, positives. So like I do want to know how you're feeling about C9 in this group. Are you similar to us where you're like, no one expects it, it's possible?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in a position like this, you're punching up. Nobody's going to berate you for losing to FPX, for losing to Damwon. And, well, actually, if we look at MSI, everyone did berate Cloud9, even though they took a game off of everybody.
Everyone took a game off Damwon.
They literally
right?
took a game off everybody. So, like, if you beat Mad Lions, you beat Damwon, you beat RNG, then you should be able to feel proud of yourselves. And I do expect that from Cloud9. Like, they can easily take games off every team in this group. They probably won't have the consistency to get out. That's for sure. You know, nobody's going to say that. And consistency is definitely an angle to look at. But I do like that we have high peaks.
Exactly, yeah. I think it's the same thing that applies to Rogue for C9, right? If they can win against Damwon or FPX, that's already like a massive up. If you can win against both of them in a double round robin, like once, that's incredible. If you can get out of that group, damn son, we're gonna win worlds, you know.
Put that on your resume.
Yeah. They're winning worlds, you know. So yeah, no expectations, everything to win, nothing to lose. I think having that mentality is a really good mentality. It's very dangerous. For some teams, if you're playing,
you should get like a quote box, and because that's a good like how you live your life, you know, inspirational Caedrel talks. Like, nothing to lose,
backs against the wall, nothing to lose.
Oh my God, no!
Oh, we're selling this.
Nothing to lose, everything to win. Tune in.
Something I would say about this Worlds, I don't know if you agree with me, but every single game, barring like one or two matchups, sounds incredibly hype, right? Like incredibly. These groups, last year there was a few groups where it's like, oh, this team's playing this team, oh, they're gonna get stomped, you know.
Are you excited for like Genji Mad?
Yeah.
I'm
I mean, that sounds good. That sounds good to me.
Later.
EU, baby.
That's
EU
true.
EU versus LCK. And then like
not big on the Genji.
Then when you move to
train.
Group B, right? We've got EDG, T1, 100 Thieves. Like, dude, this group is DFM can even play upset. That group I think is also pretty hype because at first it's similar to Group A where you're like, yeah, EDG, T1 are going to get out. But then 100 Thieves are looking pretty damn good, and DFM just qualified, and they're looking dangerous too. So you're like,
let's talk about it. So this is my thing. Let's talk about like most exciting matchup. I think it's similar to the last one. I think mid jungle is the banger here. I think there's like obviously a lot of hype.
It's mid, isn't it? Like Faker?
It's mid for sure. Because like there are some cool bot lane matchups that I'm excited about. Like, you know, Viper by default being in this group, I think automatically draws attention.
Dude, Viper, Gumayushi.
That's for sure a banger. But in the same
banger.
way that like the Nuguri Khan matchup was the banger and the other one, like that's one banger and the rest of it's kind of like
that's
okay.
like the main card.
That's like, and then the rest
title.
of it, the title, you know, or maybe that's the undercard and the title is all the mid lane matchups because like I am really excited to see what Abdage can do.
Faker versus Faker Dage.
Faker versus Faker Dage, dope. You know what I mean? Like
Scout's
that's super
in there.
hype.
He's been on EGG for a while. He was on T1, I believe.
Yes, well, he was I think he was pulled off of T1's bench or T1's, and then he's been like most of EDG's roster are like EDG.
If he was
players.
there for at least a minute, then we got beef already. We know it. It. And then DFM is like playing upset, I think.
Yeah, and I think like obviously DFM, I think they're fighting for as many
What
wins
they
as
traded
can
for
get.
upset? Ha 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 ha.
Thank you, sleep deprived Kobe.
Sorry, you got to have an outburst every once in a while. I literally have only had 2 hours of sleep.
Oh my god, I'll let you off this time.
Freak just DM'd me. He was like, "Get a pun in there, quick."
Oh my
Get out,
God.
okay.
Yeah, so I think that mid jungle,
puntastic.
mid jungle is what I'm generally excited for. That wasn't even good, dude. Like not even the concept of
Come
puns.
on, I was chiming in. The pun
appreciate
train
that.
Yeah,
started.
come on, mine was good. Let it go.
Was mine that bad?
No, but yeah, because closer, especially the way
it moves on quickly.
on to the next thing.
the way that 100 Thieves ended our LCS season, closer absolutely deserved MVP.
Sure.
Of playoffs, of finals.
I think Hugi also played really well in that
he
series.
smashed too. So yeah, definitely excited for it.
Yeah, and like that jungle mid duo, I think in general, I'm like, not just because, you know, former TCO, former LEC, but like, those boys are doing it.
Oh, you're bumping to that.
Yeah, I know. I really love Abadage. I'm really excited that he's doing well. Makes me really happy.
Our boy Abed. Yeah, no, this group is, because if you ask me, I would say EDG first, T1 second.
100% EDG first, I think.
Yeah.
Because like T1, I guess we should talk about T1 a little bit.
I think EDG is going to win Worlds.
Really?
I really think they're better than FPX. And after they showed really strong adaptation in finals, that completely sold me. Already this year, I was like, oh my God, it's really coming together. Viper Mako is literally the best bottom lane in the entire world.
I would agree with that, yeah.
But when they showed adaptation and they're playing 1-3-1, they're playing split push, they're coordinating really well around some things that FPS force. I was just like, okay, I'm sold. So I'm going all in on them. So I definitely think they're getting out first in this group.
I think I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer here and say EDG kind of got given that finals. I think FPX solo lost game 1 and through game 4. So I feel like that should have been a way closer series than it should have been. And I think I still agree EDG is going to finish this group first, and I think EDG will probably make it to semis or finals. They look really good. I can see the argument of winning worlds, but the interesting team to me is T1.
I agree, because T1, I get so used to thinking back, because when you prep for this team, obviously you take your time to look at like the laundry list of titles, the experience, but then when you watch this team, this is like T1 are kind of all over the place to me.
So the funny thing to me about T1 is just every single tournament of Worlds T1 has ever been in, they're the favorites, right? Every single Worlds. Even like 2019, they were one of the favorites to win the whole thing.
This is the first, I was like, that's the only shaky one.
That's the only,
this is the first tournament where you're looking at them, you're like,
probably
I don't think they're the favorites.
Nope.
You know?
I'm looking at them and saying they're definitely not the
No.
favorite.
Like they're not.
That's crazy though. Isn't it?
I don't know if they like. I won't be surprised if they make it out of this group, but I will be impressed if they make it to a semi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's T1 who made semis in 2019. They made finals nonstop. They've won titles, but you look at them, you're like, you're really not the favorites here.
Yeah, I mean, this version of T1, the things that stand out to me as far as VOD review is, like, this is the most aggressive I've ever seen this team, though. If you're looking back at history of this team, it was so much more discipline and control in the past. But now that they have all these rookies, like Owner, I love Owner, but Owner, he makes some very, very aggressive, and he likes to take a lot of chances.
Yep.
He's definitely willing to fight all of these skirmishes, and I think that was an intentional change in philosophy of how T1 want to play. And Faker is a part of it, wanting to play more aggressively, wanting to take a lot more of these fights, wanting to shift away from the old style, because there was the 2018 downfall of the, old LCK kind of delay scale type of style.
You also say old, but like, I think you're right. T1, I think he's the youngest roster at Worlds probably, right? Keria like 17, isn't it? Gumayushi's 18.
So this was
Owner's 18.
This change, I'm saying, is so intentional from T1, and I don't think they've perfected it yet. That's why I say they're definitely not favorites. I think there's even a chance they don't get out of this group. Looking at their series versus Gen.G, if you remember the beginning of even though they won this series and they won it pretty handily, the beginning of the first 3 games in a row, they give over Aphelios Thresh. They're losing push bottom lane, and Gen.G moves up to Herald. They make a good, it's good setup from Gen.G. They're like, okay, we have Prial bottom lane. We make the first half rotation up towards Herald. If they don't answer, we just rotate back so we don't give up too much. But SKT goes to Herald every single one of these Herald fights. They lost all 3. They ended up coming back and winning the game in 2 of those games, but they still started out with these big deficits because they're just going up late to these fights because their bottom lane's getting pushed in by this Aphelios. And it seemed very stubborn to me, which is maybe a trend. Like, there's a lot of things where some of their drafts, they just pick the same things over and over. Some of the plays, it takes them a while to adjust. They're not as nimble or maybe disciplined.
I think you're completely right. There's a lot of consistency in, like, if it works, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like T1, I feel like just repeats the same formula always. Like you said, always contesting Herald. Yeah, we can maybe win this time around. They don't actually stop doing things. Like you said, in drafts against HLE, Azir, Xin Ezreal, they picked it like 4 almost or 5 games in a row. Owner's pathing is very predictable. This guy did full clear. This guy in HLE series, if you watch HLE series and watch the first 5 minutes of the game, Owner is doing full clear to top side 5 games in a row, and he's diving top or taking the enemy top camps. Like, he'll do blue side 4 games in a row, pats top, takes enemy Krugs or tries to dive top, and then backs off. Red side game 5, he does full clear to top, goes for enemy Gromp, and then dies and gets collapsed on. I think HLE were like, guys, this guy's pathing top every game. Level 4, can we please kill this guy?
Okay, again.
And then he died.
In their defense in that series, Morgan was like hardcore griefing. Do you remember the game where he finally didn't die as Aurelia? and then still managed to die in the side lane like 10 minutes later.
Yeah, I mean, the roughest game for Morgan was it game 5 when he was like against Kennen and he loses like 6 waves top, even though Owner died, and then he's just completely
Bro, the problem is
out
you're
of it.
describing half the series. We just saw this this jammed
Kana
Aurelia pick
played
every
5
game.
games of Kennen. Faker played 4 games of Azir. Like, dude, they were playing the same things over and over.
I agree. It's like hard to. I think Owner sometimes makes a little bit like has some suspect decision making, and I think statistically, like to back up what you were talking about, Kobe, earlier, like they do have a very strong early game, all things considered, in the LCK. But despite this super strong early game, they're like 6th overall in how fast they finish the game. So they're always coming out with big leads in the early game. They're always getting towers early. They're always taking these early objectives, or at least fighting for them. But then like that actual transition isn't consistently coming through effectively. And I think that is a clear sign to me, at least, or could lead us to believe, as you mentioned, Kobe, that it's not perfected yet. They're still they're not all on the same page. It feels like a lot of players still trying to figure out how they all want to play together.
And this sounds pretty negative, so we can add the positives, is that after a lot of those openings, they still are able to find so many good engages because of the positive side of these rookies that they added. Yeah. Keria and Owner, the upside of adding these rookies is that they have been so insane with their engages. Like they literally, even with some of these deficits that they got from the early Rift Herald fights, because Keria is so good at moving to roam with Owner, they pick after pick after pick. Don't give this man Leona because he just forces on Gen.G, and even with a pretty good like team fight setup for them, they still won team fight after team fight to get right back into it. And take the series. And so when we're mentioning the negatives, we also have to mention the positive of having these young guys. It's cool to see as the pressure mounts on the big stage at Worlds. How you perform under that. As you're younger and you start to see the evolution of this team.
The last thing I'd say is it's exciting to see these kind of like rookies on their first international stage in a way. Like Owner is tearing up solo queue right now. I think he's the highest elo player in all of bootcamp, almost rank 1. Keria is playing like Predator Thresh, Anivia support, Echo support, Talia support, and he's like changing the support meta in European solo queue himself. Faker is Faker, right? Gumayushi is rated as one of the best ADs in the world. Kana's improved a lot since start of the year. So T1 has a lot of positives going around them. It's just whether it all comes together.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, for just final predictions for this group, everyone on the same page right now? Is it just EDJ, SKT?
I already know what you're going to say.
Here comes the 100 Thieves. You going to say it? I'm
getting out. We laid some groundwork. I think that it is possible for 100 Thieves to get out over T1. I will predict EDG and 100 Thieves get out.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that 100 Thieves are, this significantly better team, but because I can clearly craft the game plan for how 100 Thieves beat T1, I really think that this is a legitimate possibility that people should be considering for 100 Thieves to get out with EDG, especially with how well Closer played towards the end of the season with all this extra pressure. He really took it upon himself. And with the meta now having a lot more assassin opportunities, having him be able to snowball with FBI and Huhi have always been a rock we can always count on from this team for bottom side of the map and for team fighting. And since they added Abadage and Closer's playing so much better, that I feel like it is definitely possible. I'm a little bit cautious still for someday in this group, but I'm optimistic.
Faker Dage takes on Faker.
Exactly. Who's the real Faker?
Who's the real Faker?
And who's the real dog?
I really I'm not where you are yet, but like I see it because like as
that's fine. I've only had 2 hours of sleep and a plane flight full of hopium.
No,
so.
yeah, you're.
It's hard to be where I am.
I think you're right, but I got a lot of love for Abadage. You watch that kid tower diving as a Yasuo and griefing into Jizuke to winning LCS. Like, I feel good about him. I've watched the Int arc. I've watched the Faker Dage arc. I've watched the King of LCS arc. I'm ready for the next arc.
The Miracle arc.
Yeah, the Miracle arc. Like, I'm ready for more. I got a lot of faith in Abadage. So I would love to see it. I'm still believe that it's more likely to be SKT at this point, but I like it. And
T1.
T1, sorry. Yeah, horrible.
Find.
Probably, yeah. That's
now
a bad habit.
Kobe podcast.
I'll leave. It could be you and the captain of the ship here. All right, Group C.
Pew, pew, pew.
Group C.
Shields are up.
Shields are up. God. PSG Talent, HLE, RNG, and Fnatic.
I think this is Group C and D are like the closest groups. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It's like they're the most unpredictable ones. Who knows who's getting
Let's start
out?
with predictions on this one.
All right.
Okay, I like that.
You want to hear? Okay, I'm gonna go Fnatic first. No, RNG first, Fnatic second.
Okay.
RNG first, Fnatic second.
I respect it. Well, that's what I was going to do too, is RNG first and Fnatic. But like you're saying, I think that if we end up all predicting the same, that doesn't do justice to how much closer this group is.
Yeah, it is a really close group. And I think that matchups, the craziest and most hype matchup for me is Fnatic versus RNG bot lane.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Upset Hilly.
Very nervous for top lane, but bottom lane is going to slap.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but I was watching a game 2 days ago, Adam versus Shahu in solo queue. Adam got 2 solo bolos. His jungler was top a lot of the game, and Adam did post it on Twitter when RNG said looking forward to Worlds.
And
he
I
screenshot it and put it on Twitter, and he was like,
respect-
I stomped your top laner.
I respect the confidence, but like, and I think Adam did a lot. Like Fnatic had this crazy playoffs run, but I'm like,
it's just a solo queue game.
It's just one. It's
Sounds
just
like a true
game.
Darius player mentality, by the way, to be like, oh yeah, my jungler's camping. Ha ha, stomped you, sucker.
Yeah, suck on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Fnatic second, but I think the bot lane matchup is super hype.
It'd be way cooler if you just stick with the first way that you said.
Yeah, I think
Fnatic RNG though.
Fnatic
No. I think as Kobe said, EG's gonna win. I think RNG is gonna win Worlds.
You think RNG is going to win Worlds?
Yeah.
You think Gala Ming is going to be EU Gala Ming?
Yeah, that's true actually.
That's what everyone compares
Upset
it
Hilly.
to. I love
Everyone
it.
says Upset Hilly was an LPL bot lane in Europe.
It's also cool. We were talking about it earlier, but it's cool that both of them are replacing these super famous legacy players, Uzi and Reckless, and it's just
Fnatic's
it's
first
fitting.
Worlds without Reckless ever.
Yeah, they probably don't feel the same way about like the long-standing rivalry, but it is kind of like the rebirth. Like if you really want to, like we'll see how this matchup goes, but it has the potential to be the rebirth of that kind of Fnatic RNG rivalry for so many years.
I mean, yeah, and some there's a lot tied in with the word rivalry, but it's cool to see organizations, even if all players and stuff have changed over the years, have matchups like that, and sometimes it's just with the fans, and the fans remember, because if fans have been stuck with the same organization over the years, even if the players has changed, then fans still they always want something to talk shit about.
Yeah, and Deft's in the group too. That's mostly AD pool.
Yeah.
Sounds really bog. So bot lane is
really
definitely really, really cool in this group.
Rip Doggo.
What's Rip Doggo?
I just remember the PSG, the dog. I really like Doggo.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I
Me
liked that
too.
Doggo PSG.
They did quite well
G2,
when
you
Unified
listening?
came back. So.
G2?
Yeah.
G2 listening maybe?
Dude,
carry?
come on, we don't need to poach.
So what's your prediction, CD?
I mean, I think it's pretty clearly RNG Fnatic. The thing is I just don't think that there's room. Like, I think that there were going to be a lot of close games, but I don't believe 100% PSG Talon, right? Like, I think that they're good, but I would want to see more from them. Like, watching their games, I'm like not 100% confident either way. And I think I don't believe in Hanwha at all.
Chovy Life Esports?
I don't believe in Hanwha at all. Like, I think they're fighting for third with PSG.
I will say that I liked that at the end of plans, you got to see like Willer have some big, games and some other people. Because if they just stomped through and it was like, oh, Chovy's legendary every game, then I feel like more people would still put them in the same bucket.
Yeah. I mean, HLE was very slow when they had a lead against a good team in LNG. And they seemed a little bit indecisive on how they wanted to close out the game because they had a lot of options, I feel like. But then I also think they were kind of, I don't want to say this, but they were kind of gifted through to groups from what happened to BYG,
I mean, I think they would have won anyway. But
they would have won
certainly
anyway.
That
but
series
they weren't tested at all.
I think that's the problem.
We can't. It's so hard to say. They weren't really tested at all.
That's the thing that we're missing, I think, is more games like the LNG games to see how they play when they are really, really tested,
Yeah.
I think the good news is like you did see over the course of that series that like while Doggo did have some fantastic landing phases, like obviously Deft is still very much a force to be reckoned with. You can't just disrespect Deft. I think he can be a good player. Again, we talked about him earlier in the context of like, isolation on bot side, so you can go towards top side.
I mean, the important thing is what Kobe said, right? Willer had a great series, so that's a good sign for him. Hammer Life going into groups. I think Deft is always going to be a reliability as much as it's Chovy Life Esports. Deft is a good AD carry, and he's someone who you can rely on a lot. Obviously, Morgan is going to be their weakest link. Depends which teams can punish it. But yeah, I'm excited to see Fnatic in this group, RNG in this group. Dude, it's so close. The thing is, you think Group C is close, but then you look at Group D, and you're like...
This is the fun one.
This is the one where you're like, damn. Group C looks stacked and like close, but Group D is even harder to predict.
Group D is I think you can make an argument for anyone getting out. So again, Mad Lions, Gen.G, Team Liquid, LNG Esports. Do we want to start with predictions, or do we want to just? Is there a specific team that people want to talk about? I mean, because like
I think we're going to talk about all these teams.
Yeah, because this is the group where you really need.
It really is a ramp up of as far as how close the different groups are, and we're like, oh yeah, Group C, much more, Group A, much closer.
Group B, Group C,
yeah,
Group D. Oh.
Yeah. This one's the whole meal. Let's start with LNG because LNG are coming from play-ins. I already from VODs was like, oh, I'm super hyped for this team because obviously Tarzan, and there's gonna be a lot circling Tarzan, but also Ale and him coming in as the kill leader for LPL for top lane.
Yep.
It was like perfect. We can hype up that, jungle top is a cool way to go about it. And then in play-ins, he did not disappoint. So it just reinforced it for me. This guy is such a good carry top lane player. And he also did not overextend himself in a lot of areas where sometimes, you're getting turbo fed in some games and people get really loose. I actually think they can do a lot of damage. If you have any sort of weakness top, like I think Rascal might have a hard time.
That's what I was going to say, because I think if you look at 3 out of 4 of these teams, I feel like they have similar playstyles where top side is where it's at, right? Liquid.
I want to see him versus Alfari the most of any matchup of this group.
Yeah,
would be Ale versus Alfari.
That's pretty hype, yeah. That's pretty hype. But like Mad Lions as well, they all play top side. We saw it in the playoffs. Armut had a great playoffs. Team Liquid rely on top side. That's my take on Team Liquid. I feel like if top is fallen apart, I really think Team Liquid struggles. And LNG similarly. I think it's all about top side. Gen.G, I would say, is more of like...
It was in the SKT series, it was the ruler show, for sure.
I would say they're a bot-centric team, and I like to kind of attribute playstyles to teams, but I feel like Gen.G just kind of does not do much for their lanes. Like Ruler gets ahead on his own, If something happens in mid, BD gets ahead on his own. Rascal has up and downs, and Clid is just always useful.
I think the problem with Gen.G is like...
But I would say more bot side, yeah.
The way that they play the game is not super thrilling, so it's like really hard to talk excitedly about Gen.G, even if they are good at a lot of little things.
And here's the thing. I watched some of, I forget what it's called, but they're basically like documentary series that they do. A lot of teams have their film their own thing. It's funny because even their own coach afterwards, and my goodness, does he yell at the players? It was really? It was kind of depressing because like everybody seemed like quiet, and I was like, oh, I feel bad. Like, I'm also getting berated right now.
Yeah.
But they were like, he was bringing up the same things that everybody always brings up about this team of being predictable, having a similar play style, playing slower, playing more methodical, but like, and they want to change it. Like they want to be more flexible. They want to, have more options in this meta, but it's hard to me too, when looking at the players, how can you not just rely so much on Ruler and BDD? If I had this roster too, this is how I would play the game.
Yeah.
This is what I would do too. Ruler is so insanely good. I just feel like if your 2 carry players are by far the best players on the team, it makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, I mean they're a very standard and predictable team in a way. Just like you said. And you can always rely on Ruler, but I think that Gen.G is a very good best of 1 team, and that's why they're in contention in this group. You might say like Mad Lions have a stronger top side, or like LNG have a stronger top side, or whatever. But Gen.G are just so consistently good at best
Mad
of
Lions are also not a good best of 1 team. They're a very good best of 5 team, but they're not the best of 1.
Not a great best of 1 team either. So yeah, that's why the group is just so up in the air. You have similar play styles in a way, but different approaches to kind of like the best of 1 style and how the whole team functions in a sense.
Yeah, I think that one of the big things, obviously, that people talk about a lot when you talk about Gen.G is Clid and his champion pool, because like he likes what he likes, and then he mostly sticks to that. And this is obviously, it's not a completely new meta, right? Like we're still going to see like mostly Lee Sin's still the most popular champion. There's still like Xin Zhao's still really popular. He can still probably play Jarvan, but I'm curious like how much of those new picks come through, and because as much as I think Gen.G can be very locked into that play style, we haven't seen very much hyper carry bot focus. Like it was pretty easy for a lot of teams to get like Thresh plus hyper carry through the draft, probably with Phelios most likely, right? So I'm wondering what Gen.G looks like and how they adapt to this meta in particular, because I think in the previous meta it was kind of easy to get away with a lot of those drafts and a lot of those compositions. Now admittedly partly because T1s are just like have a Phelios Thresh every game in the series that they played, but I want to see how the meta actually affects this team, because it is very different.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to support. And again, I too would want to spend a lot of time around Ruler and ensuring that Ruler has a good game and a good start and gets fed. And so like that's how I would play. But right now it's just so important for support to roam with jungle. And you don't have to go mid, but a large percentage of the games are going to be, jungle support, then going mid, and then you get to unlock mid and you get to decide, which side of the map you want to play from there. But the options are there. To the Team Liquid point you made earlier about them being so reliant on top side, I'm going to give my Team Liquid spiel early in this group so that it sets up for my prediction at the end. And especially in talking to them, they don't see it that way as far as being reliant on top, as far as being reliant on Alphari that much. They do see it in such a holistic experience where it is the core components of it being very critical for these windows of support roam to be taken advantage of. They, depending on draft, feel like they have the flexibility to send that jungle support pressure to any lane depending on your draft. So while if they have a Alphari draft, then they'll be completely dependent on Alphari for that game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean, and especially if they're able to get best of series, that they have to play that way. They also showed significant returns when playing with multiple mid lane roams for support jungle and Jensen being able to carry on both melee as well as some mage picks. His Lee Sin at the beginning of the year was terrible, but then he had some big hard carry performances from it. And tactical, while he was a good example of the leave Ziggs alone and just farm later. And they famously had that game where it was almost 0% duo procs. They also, this was one of our big kill lanes in LCS where they would get 2v2 kill lanes when drafting for winning matchups like that for him and Core JJ. So the options are there.
So when I was watching Team Liquid's games, it just felt like when you watch their best of 5 win against 100 Thieves, it was all top lane show. And when you watch their best of 5 loss in the finals against 100 Thieves, this team will never dive bot. Like they will never. There was never an instance in all of those 8 games, however many it was, that they actually played to dive bot. What they would do is play hard topside. Core JJ would roam, of course. If Alphari was ahead, that was great. And if he ever got TP advantage, it would be used to defend tactical on the weak side. When he's getting dove, he would always TP bot to defend him and make sure that he's fine. So he was almost like the point of, if he's ahead, he will cover bot, and that'll kind of make up for the rest of the map. And there's a lot of instances where Jensen and Santorin tried to move together towards top, but it was so disjointed. Like in the finals when they were playing LeBlanc Trundle against Abadaga's Rise, I think it was. Santorin's going for a crab, and Jensen is sitting in mid just farming, and he's trying to do the crab, and by the time he's dying, Jensen starts moving. And it's like, mid-jungle just looks really disjointed. The TF game, they tried to move top together, but they never really found the window. By the time they ran top, Jensen was running back mid. Everything just looked really disjointed between mid-jungle. But top support looked like they were on the same page the whole game, most of the games. And I feel like when Alphari was ahead, he was winning lane, and when he was winning lane, he could cover bot, and when he covered bot, then he'd be able to split push a bit, and that's how the team kind of functioned.
In the regular season, they had several games where Santorin had these routes of red into level 2 ganking bottom. And so they were mostly predicated on surprise timings, not on slow stacking, pushing the wave and diving on the bottom side turret. But they did have several games where either Tactical Core JJ took a winning matchup, blew summoner spells, then called jungle, or they did surprise timing and brought jungle. So they did have earlier in the season some examples of play through bottom side, but again, not the slow push into dive, double stacked wave on that side of the map. I will say some of the hangups, clearly and admittedly that we have had on this team have been sometimes overly risk adverse. They have a very clear way they see the game, and a lot of it comes from Core JJ and trying to remove risk factors. They don't want to take very low percentage plays very often. And so sometimes, and especially sometimes, when they're behind, they have a hard time increasing that risk tolerance. And the other one is Jensen moving from mid lane. So that has always been an issue. And
the thing that I saw them playing through bot was when they actually played Kalista. When they played Kalista, it really felt like Tactical and Core JJ were playing for that lane. Anything else, it's almost like, we're going to play top sides, we're going to play Ziggs, we're going to play, Varus, and we're going to chill.
Yeah. I think that it's hard for me to be 100% on the I can see your arguments, and I think they're there. I think it's very easy, like Caedrel highlighted, to be like, bam, Alfari. I really want to see how Santorin does against these junglers.
They slammed him on Malphite and still won. Just
That's fine.
Malphite's OP. I'm telling you guys.
Okay, all right.
If you have a thumbs up emoji and ultimate, you can't lose.
That's true. It does have a cooldown, but that's not
The
important.
thumbs up doesn't.
The thumbs up doesn't.
Spam it.
Okay. There are so many good team fighting teams in this group, though, because Mad Lions and Genji as well. Even though we were taking a little bit away from them, like these games, even if a team gets an early lead in Group D, it's gonna go the distance, because there's so many teams that could come back.
You're completely right. Similar playstyles in a way where you would say like. I was watching the Fnatic behind the scenes thing where they're against Mad and they're like, damn, these guys are really good. Like even when they're behind, they'll find like random engages to actually find numbers advantage. They'll cross map trade evenly when they're behind. And it's just like, how are they finding these things? I think all these teams have similar kind of ways. I think this group is super exciting.
I love El Yoyo too.
I think Mad Lions are going to be first in the group and LNG are going to be second.
Wow. I'm so down with that, but I feel like I should temper that. I feel like I need to like come back down to earth. I think.
What's your back down to earth? Because I don't feel like there's a clear come back down to earth from that.
I would say that the only thing is like order. I'm inclined to agree with the two teams. I just think that.
I think LNG would be first over Mad.
No, I really want to believe in Mad, but it feels wrong. You know what I mean? I feel like every time I'm like really want to believe in a European team as a European caster, European
if you
expert.
don't think Mad Lions is going to beat LPL's 4th seed, you need more. I'll send you some hopium tonight.
No. The problem. This is the problem. Is
hit
I'm
him with the super.
I'm like eternally.
I can give you the super too.
I feel like there's two kinds of fans, right? When it comes to EU at Worlds, there's the people who want to believe no matter what, and the people
who get
like,
disappointed.
It's doomed no matter what. I'm on the doom side, and it's not because I don't think that they're good players. It's because like I'm scared.
So
I'm scared.
You're waiting for the train to move before you get on it.
He's afraid to hope.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid
Open up your
to
heart.
hope.
Yeah, Drakos, don't be that man.
You need to be able to accept love.
You weren't here for 2016, 2017 G2.
No, I wasn't.
You don't know what it's like to lose to CLG.
Wait, where were you?
I mean, he was here.
I was playing somewhere. I never really had the hopiums.
No, I think you're right. I think Mad Lions are a very, very strong team.
Yeah,
I think
really
that
good.
questions about consistency in best of one, while I do think it's an issue you should raise because they did have a solid second half, but even in the solid second half, 7-2, I believe, of the regular season, there were still some really suspect games. There were really some inconsistent games. That said, I generally have a lot of faith in Mac as a coach, and Mac is very clear about and knows a lot about his players, and I think is very in touch with what his players need. And like he's always made it very clear that these are players who like rise to the occasion, especially Humanoid. Humanoid has the potential to, on any given day, be one of the best mid laners in the world, or kind of like be fine. But when the competition is on, he is consistently a very, very good mid laner.
And this is why I'm slightly worried for Mad, because they're just not great in best of ones. If you get this team out of groups into quarters, I'm gonna have a lot more faith. Where it's like quarters, they can maybe make a semis, like they're a really good best of 5 team, but like you said, small inconsistency. The only thing I would say is like you just said it, Humanoid, when he's even said it a couple times where it's like, if the game's important, I feel really motivated. If it's like a normal regular split game against a bad team, whatever, like
Worlds groups, pretty important.
Pretty important.
Yeah.
Maybe that does it for him.
Kobe, where are you? I'll Mad LNG. I can't.
You're on the Mad LNG?
I have to believe.
My man, come on.
So-
I have to believe.
If I can make a reasonable argument for the NA representative, then I'm going to do it. And I think that I can make a reasonable argument for Team Liquid. Because support is so important right now, I actually think Core JJ is going to smurf on Iwandi. Actually, turn lanes. You can win your solo lanes for them as support. And he has had the best in the LCS for roam timings. Actually, Vulcan had some really good ones too, where like he completely saved Fudge topside, and they won the game off a defending tower dive type of thing. But I actually think Team Liquid also have a legitimate chance of getting out of this group. I also was going to put Mad Lions number 1, so right there with you guys, because after watching them, I literally have seen so many games in VODs where I don't spoil myself, and yet, even with them being down 5,000 gold, I'm like, all right, I'll wait until the team fight. Let me see it. When's it coming? And then all of a sudden,
that's what great teams have, that trend where it's like, you never really count them out. Some teams you're like, this game's done.
I think
other teams you're like,
Here's my question though. Is Arma going to continue on his ascent, on his climb, on his level of play, or is there, a shaky chance of reverting here? Because that would maybe be the thing that I'm the most worried for.
There's a lot of off-season talks, obviously, happening behind the scenes as like teams try to scramble to grab rosters. And I think one of the general consensuses for Europe right now is that the current top lane pool is not the strongest that it has ever been. Yeah. And I think that Armut did very well in playoffs, stepped up in a big way. I think that like Wunder was the guy that you kind of expected to be the best top laner. He really underperformed this season. I think Odo obviously also had a difficult playoffs, so it's easy to see Armut right now at the top of the podium for top laners. But it was not so long ago that Armut was like the Armut small champion pool was a thing that we looked at very much as a weakness and not like he's going to play what he's going to play and it's inevitable that he's going to have impact in the game.
The good thing is the meta for top hasn't shifted much.
Sure.
Jace, Gwen, Gnar, Wukong, Kennen, it's still kind of there. He hasn't shown any Kennen yet, so if he's picked that up, great. But things like Renekton and stuff are still there. So that's a good thing. Whatever was happening in playoffs is still happening at Worlds if you just slot in a Kennen and maybe question the GP a bit.
But I think it's my point here is like I think it's a super fair question, and I think this is like I think Armut proved himself a lot in week 8 and then continued to prove himself in playoffs. And this is kind of like, I think the last hurdle before you're like, this guy is, an all-star world-class, top player.
And the reason I ask is because I think if there's the single most dangerous player in this whole group, to me it is Ale. Yeah. Because he also has Tarzan as his jungler. And they're like, I just have so much confidence in him, playing carry top. So he's going to just by himself introduce things like Jax and stuff, which wasn't in playoffs. So even if the meta didn't change, Ale will change it for you.
Oh, Worlds exciting. So you think EDG is going to win Worlds? I think RNG is going to win Worlds. Yeah. Who do you think is going to win Worlds?
Oh, dude, I don't want to make a decision. You guys are so confident in that state. I mean...
Yeah, you got to learn to fake it as a Galari.
Yeah, they'll win. And if they win, I told you so. If they lost...
Well, guys, how was I supposed to calculate for this? I think it's for sure an LPL team. The problem is I don't know how to feel about
FPX. Just pick a different one.
Sure, FPX.
TSM?
FPX.
Yeah.
Screw it. Why not? I don't
FPX,
know.
yeah.
Their finals was trash, but...
And, okay, the last question I'd have to wrap it up is dark horse. Who's your dark horse to win Worlds?
Mad Lions.
And you're not allowed to choose Damwon as a dark horse because they're not
a dark horse. Mad Lions is my dark horse.
Who would be your dark horse to win Worlds?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the dark horse questions are always a little bit fraudulent to me because you're like, oh, you have to go below the threshold of it not being a favorite, but everyone chooses the next best,
good enough
basically.
To win, kind of.
Type of thing. So
I think Mad Lions is not a bad one. Mad Lions LNG.
Yeah. Both good.
Cool.
I think past that it's kind of hard. All right. Any final notes?
We already went overtime.
We went overtime.
We went way overtime.
Pretty heavily. This has been episode 1 of the Divephoria. We'll be back in the near future after the next segment has completed with a slightly different cast. We're going to bring Isaac in here. We're going to balance
I'm going to
things
give
out.
controls of the spaceship over.
Spaceship will be given to Isaac. It's an
maybe you'll get
honorary
this
right.
thing, and then Isaac can get the spaceship, so you can be like on the other
Rotate,
side.
yeah. I need to see from the other angle.
Yeah. See what it looks like.
This has been
good. You need to see what it looks like.
This has been the Starship Divephoria. Our captain Kobe, first mate Caedrel.
We officially landed.
This is good because my cup of coffee is out, so I'm about to die.
That's all you need to know. Now we cut to black. This has been episode 1. We'll see you guys later.